please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Halftime Report. It's 12 noon. We're halfway through the trading session and staring at a bit of a drop on the benchmark indices. The Nifty is now dipped into the red, as you can see. So it's lost close to about 30 points from the high point of the day. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, Rima. Let's kickstart the show then with all the top stories at this point of time. The market's range bound.
Point out, we lost some ground from the top of the day. The Nifty is now dipped into the red, so has the Sensex as well as the Midcap index. So from the top, we've lost close to about 0.3% thereabout on the benchmark indices. We are awaiting the April WPI figure. It is expected to harden on a month-on-month basis. So estimate, according to the CNBC TV18 poll, should be a figure of close to about 2.9%, which would compare with 2.47% on a month-on-month basis on account of a seasonal uptake in food prices as well as rising core inflation. Later tonight, later in the evening, we will also be getting the CPI numbers.
That's
so
right.
All eyes on that right now.
That's right, Rima. You know, we have come off the high point of the day. Remember, last week itself, we had crude prices that were moving higher, but the Nifty still scored a double century. We were up around 195 points for the past week. Now, remember, in today's trading session, the 10,700 put, that's seeing a lot of action. Close to the Nifty still scored a double century. We were up around 195 points for the past week. Now, remember, in today's trading session, the 10,700 put, that's seeing a lot of action, close to around 6.5 lakh shares being written over there. So keep an eye on that front. That's telling you that even if a worst-case scenario does play out, then the bulls are counting at around the 10,600 level. Well, signs of nervousness on the markets. We've moved to the low point of the day. The Nifty is moving lower, so keep an eye on that front. Titan has had a good run. Suddenly, that stock moves lower. You have Z Entertainment as well that's seeing some selling pressure. And the mid-cap index on the whole has suddenly moved to the low point of the day. In the short while from now, we should get South Indian Bank's numbers. But that stock has suddenly moved to the low point of the day, down close to around 3.5%. But let's get straight to the latest on the Nirav Modi scandal. We learned that a total of 19 people are named by the CBI in the chart sheet. Utkarsh Chaturvedi has been tracking that very, very closely. He joins us on the phone line with those details. Utkarsh, over to you.
So, Nigel, in a few minutes from now, the CBI will go ahead and file the charge sheet in the Nirav Modi case. What we are picking up right now is that there are 19 people who are named in the charge sheet. Those include obviously Nirav Modi and 18 others. We'll be getting you more details soon, but more importantly, within a few minutes from now, you will see the charge sheet being filed. And once the detail of these charge sheets come out, obviously we'll be getting more names here. What we are picking up is that Usha and Subramaniam might be named in the charge sheet. KV Brahmaji Rao can be a part of the charge sheet as well. Apart from that, Vipul Ambani will be named in the charge sheet because he was the VP Finance of Five-Star. But more important will be to see what are the allegations against them, all of them. So that picture we'll get in a few minutes from now. Once the court proceedings start, and we'll keep you updated in that.
Okay, 19 names in all could include Usha Anant Subramaniam, who was the MD and CEO of PNB in 2016. Thanks, Utkarsh, for that. We'll start tracking now the stocks which are moving and shaking in today's trades. Sun TV has been one of the biggest movers. Sonal, it's a beat on all counts. The stock was an underperformer. Prior to today's move, it was down nearly 20% in 2018. So it's recovering some of that lost ground.
Yeah, actually a lot of that losses that it made during this year, in terms of ad revenue growth, that is what actually stood out. They made a ad revenue growth of around 26%.
The stocks which are moving and shaking in today's trades. Sun TV has been one of the biggest movers. Sonal, it's a beat on all counts. The stock was an underperformer. Prior to today's move, it was down nearly 20% in 2018. So it's recovering some of that lost ground.
Yeah, actually a lot of that losses that it made during this year, in terms of ad revenue growth, that is what actually stood out. They made a ad revenue growth of around 26% versus our estimates of around 21%. In fact, this revenue growth is a multi-year high. Subscription revenue growth also came in at 28% versus our estimates of around 19%. Overall, the revenue grew at around 23% versus our poll that threw up a number of around 17% growth. EBITDA margins, they expanded by 530 basis points, despite the fact that we expected the content costs to to go higher this quarter. In fact, the management, they sounded very sanguine. They said that they expect the domestic subscription growth going forward to increase by around 20 to 25% in FY19. Also, they expect the margins to improve. That is because they expect the IPL business to turn positive this time around. And the brokerages, they are very positive on the stock. In fact, Nomura has upgraded the stock to a buy, and CLSA has also increased the EPS estimates by 6 to 8% for FY19. Most of these brokerages have the target price ranging from 1,000 to 1,250, and going forward, we'll see how does the stock really react, considering the strong guidance coming in from the management.
Okay, all right, Sonal, let's go straight from Sonal to Mangalam. Mangalam's here to tell us about Tata Global. Mangalam.
Well, Nigel, Tata Global results were slightly weak if you take a look at it from the optical perspective, because revenue is absolutely flat. The EBITDA was down 22%, led lower by lower gross margins. And if you take a look at the net profit, that one seemed to have grown by 36%, but there were a lot of factors there. The base quarter had an exceptional loss of 42.5 crores. There was an other income component. Other income for this quarter has come in at 26 crores versus 10 crores. And the finance cost, that one's come down from 25 crores to 13 crores. But mind you, the finance cost sequentially has increased from 8.5 crores all the way up to 14 crores. A couple of points from the management commentary which really stood out in terms of positives. The fact is, Starbucks, that revenue grew about 28%. That business turned EBITDA positive this year, and they have 116 stores. They plan to add a little more. Their joint venture with PepsiCo, Nourishco, that has turned PAT profitable for this year. A couple of concerns. The first one, long-term debt. The company has been on a deleveraging spree. From 914, the debt had come down to 450 crore in FY17. That has risen by about a couple of 100 crores. And Kotak has written, they say that whatever the positives are, they've been priced in. They've reduced their EPS estimates on the stock, downgraded it from add to reduce, and lowered their target price as well.
Thank you, Mangalam, for that. The stock has also had a good run, rallied 70% in the last 1 year. Ekta, relief for pharmaceutical companies?
Well, yes, Trump's speech on pharmaceutical companies and reducing drug prices on Friday evening really fell short of expectations, and that's the reason why you're seeing a lot of these stocks come back today. But the outlook remains the same, that is to reduce drug prices in the US by many measures such as, say, removing middlemen, etc. But there were no sweeping changes which were announced on the Friday evening speech. So hence, besides that, we do have some US FDA inspections which have been successful. So, for example, Lupin stock is in focus on account of their Nagpur plant getting 0 observations from the US FDA. The inspection got completed last week, and it's a new facility for the company. It manufactures oral solid dosage formulations, and additionally, Credit Suisse has reiterated its outperform rating on Sun Pharma, said the risk reward is favorable, and hence you can see that upside coming in on Sun as well.
Okay, all right, Ekta. Thanks so much for that. Well, let's hop across to Sonal. She's here to tell us about Gujarat Gas. Sonal.
Well, very strong set of numbers coming in, Nigel, not only on sequential basis, even on a YOY basis. In fact, the volumes were at 6-quarter high at 6.8 MMSCMD, and it was across the segments. So now PNG commercial volume, that grew by 4% sequentially. PNG household volumes, that was which stole the show actually, up 38% sequentially, and CNG volumes were also up around 5%. Another good thing that they actually reported was that the EBITDA per SCM, that grew by 36% on a YOY basis and 6% on a sequential basis at 3.7 rupees. Revenue growth of around 11%, operating profit margins of 12.5% were way above what the street was expecting. In fact, all the brokerages have target price ranging from 1,020 to 1,170 with a rating of buy or overweight, and are very positive on all the city gas distribution companies, including this one.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Graphite companies on your radar, Nigel?
Well, Rima, those stocks are up between, 7 to around 10 times in the last 1 year. But Jefferies is bullish even from here. They believe, in fact, there is further headroom for these stocks to move even from here. The reason being that the Q4 realizations came in nearly around $900 on a per-ton basis, better than what they were working with. Hence, they've increased the target price for Graphite India. That's increased to around 1,275 rupees. So that's an uptake of nearly around 10 to around 15% odd. And they're valuing the company at around 6 times EV upon EBITDA. For HEG as well, remember, they have been bullish. They continue to be bullish. And after the strong commentary that's come in from HEG, they say that, in fact, they have upped their realizations estimates for the next couple of years by 17 to around 25%. They have increased their target price by nearly around 20% to 4,400 rupees on a per share basis. And they're valuing the company at nearly around 5.5 times on a forward EV upon EBITDA basis. Well, in fact, we spoke to Mr. Bangur, the chairman of Graphite India. He says the company is confident of improving realizations in the coming fiscal. Let's listen in.
The spot prices or the current order prices are significantly higher, and the range of spot prices which has been given by one of our peers is 17 to 23,000. I think it's well within that, or maybe above that also in some cases. The realizations are very strong. Our order book is strong, and going forward we see even higher realizations as we move from quarter to quarter. Last year, 17-18, more than 70% of our orders were at legacy prices, and the rest was at new prices. But going forward, this will be minuscule. And as we taper off all the legacy orders, so the realizations are much stronger in quarter one and the subsequent quarters.
Well, Orient Electric was demerged a couple of months ago, and today it was relisted on the exchanges. Anisha is with us to run us through her analysis. Anisha.
Thank you, Nigel, for that. Well, yes, as you mentioned, Orient Electric is a demerged arm of Orient Paper and houses the electrical and consumer durable business of the company. Now, when Orient Paper actually traded the electrical business, the stock was down about 120 rupees. And today the expectation was that Orient Electric will list at a value of anywhere between 130 to 140. Now, when it opened, the price was discovered, it was at around 135. The stock has moved higher to around 141 right now. But do remember that the stock is trading currently in the trade for trade segment. I expect the demand of the stock to go up once it is open for the retail segment as well, because remember, the fan business is the most important business of the company, which contributes majority of the revenue as well. Companies like Crompton Graves, Consumer as well as Havells have been telling us how the demand of fan business is going up. The only problem for this company was the margin that they have been trying to improve, but overall expect the demand of this stock to go up, and hence today as well it is in focus. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Nigel, why chemical companies?
Well, a few of these chemical companies, Rima, they have been moving higher. Remember, H-acid prices as well as vinyl sulfone prices, both of them are up between 12 to around 15% in the last couple of weeks. Why is that? Because the Chinese authorities, they have come down on a couple of those companies out there, and that's what's created a bit of a shortage. That's why we're seeing a few of these stocks. Like Kiri Industries is moving higher. That's got nearly around 50% of its revenues coming in from H-acid as well as vinyl sulfone. In addition to that, a couple of these other stocks as well. Bodal Chemicals, that's up nearly around 6.5%. Shri Pushkar Chemicals. And what I understand, Rima, there's a shortage. And as of now, at least, the expectation is it could go on for another couple of months. That's why prices have moved up by 12 to around 15%. Those stocks passing around.
Okay, thank you very much for that. A quick recap then of all the top stocks that you need to have on your radar. This noon, you've got Sun TV, Tata Global Beverages, graphite companies like Graphite India, HEG, Orient Electric, as well as chemical companies like Kiri, Bodal, Shri Pushkar, Bagaria, as well as Akshay.